All right, let's get right into it. We're talking about a massive, massive shakeup in the world of Japanese manga and Korean manhwa. I mean, generative AI is here, and it's not just knocking on the door, it's kicking it down. And it's posing this huge question for the whole industry. Is this thing a miracle tool that could finally save creators from burning out? Or is it an existential threat, the thing that could replace them entirely? And what's really wild is seeing how Japan and Korea are heading down two totally different roads to figure that out.
So before we even get into the tech, you've got to understand why AI is even part of this conversation. It all comes down to the human cost. The cost baked into the manga and manhwa we all love. There's this word, karoshi. It literally means death from overwork. And in this industry, that is not a metaphor. It is a tangible, ever-present fear. So when you hear about creators dying for their art, they might not be exaggerating. The pressure is it's off the charts. It's a real, terrifying possibility for so many.
Look, let's just be blunt here. The way manga and manhwa are made, it's completely broken. It's just not sustainable. For decades, the entire system has been built on the backs of artists, on their sheer will to endure, pushing them right to their physical and mental limits. It's a constant state of emergency that's somehow become the norm. And you know what? Something's got to give.
And so that's where we are. This is the heart of the whole debate, right? Could AI actually be the answer? The tool that finally saves artists from this absolutely brutal grind, like a digital sidekick that gives them their lives back? Or is it Pandora's box? You open it and there's no going back. A tool that could end up devaluing what it means to be an artist and tear down the industry we know.
Okay, so to really wrap our heads around this, we need to look at the root of the problem. We need to look at the thing that's causing all the burnout, that insane, unbearable weekly grind.
19 to 20 pages. Just let that number sink in. We're talking 19 to 20 pages of high-quality, finished comic art every single week. And that's not for a month or two. That's for most of the year. This isn't just about doodling a few pictures. It's a full-blown production sprint, a marathon with no finish line.
So what does that week actually look like? Well, it's a relentless cycle. Days 1 through 3 are all about storyboarding and rough layouts, the creative heavy lifting. You got to get that approved by your editor. And here's the kicker. Any delay there, even a small one, just dominoes into the rest of the week. Days 4 through 7 become this frantic race to pencil, ink, tone, and finalize everything. By the time that deadline is looming, sleep becomes a luxury. We're talking 2, maybe 3 hours a night, just running on pure adrenaline to get it done.
And this isn't some abstract problem, okay? This takes a real physical toll, even on the absolute legends of the industry. Think about Yoshihiro Togashi, the genius behind Hunter x Hunter. He's had to take years-long breaks because of debilitating back pain that leaves him unable to move. Or Tire Kubo from Bleach. He literally tore the tendons in his shoulder from drawing so much. And then there's Eiichiro Oda, the creator of One Piece, who has famously run on just 3 hours of sleep a night for decades. This is the harsh reality that has pushed the industry to the breaking point, desperately looking for any kind of solution.
But here's a really important thing to remember. This search for help, for support systems, it is not new. Not at all. Long before anyone was talking about AI, the manga and manhwa industries had already built these complex systems just to keep their heads above water. It's always been about survival.
And what emerged were two totally different models. In Japan, you got this traditional master-apprentice system. A master mangaka has a team of assistants who handle the grunt work, backgrounds, tones, all that stuff, and they learn the craft on the job. But in Korea, which went digital first with webtoons, it was different. They built a much more industrialized studio system. Think of it like an assembly line, with specialized artists just for line art, others just for coloring, all designed for maximum speed and consistent quality. But see, at their core, both systems are doing the same thing. They're outsourcing the workload to cope.
Then came the first wave of digital tools. Drawing the same complicated background, like a classroom or a city street over and over again, is a huge time sink. So artists started turning to 3D models from programs like SketchUp or Clip Studio Paint. They could just drop a model in, get the perspective right, trace over it, and boom, a perfect background in way less time. But there was a catch. It was efficient for sure, but a lot of those 3D backgrounds just looked, sterile, kind of rigid and lifeless. You'd get this weird visual clash between the super organic, hand-drawn characters and these perfectly geometric, almost robotic-looking environments. And that right there, that gap between speed and soul, is exactly what AI is now promising to fix.
And that brings us right up to today, to the AI apprentice. And let's be clear, this isn't just the next step up from 3D models. This is a whole different ballgame. It's a complete disruption. It promises the speed of those old digital tools, but with the feel, the complexity, the organic touch of human-drawn art.
If there was one moment that made everyone sit up and pay attention, it was this. A manga called Cyberpunk Peachjon hit the shelves, and it was made entirely with Midjourney, an AI image generator. The author, who goes by Rootport, was totally open about it, said they couldn't draw at all. Their skill wasn't in putting pencil to paper, it was in writing prompts and then curating, sifting through thousands of AI-generated images to find the perfect ones to piece together a story.
And here's the number, the one statistic that made the entire industry's jaws drop. 6 weeks. It took just 6 weeks to create this full-color, 100-page graphic novel. I mean, do you know how long that would take a human artist? Almost a year. We're talking an 8x, maybe 10x productivity boost. Now, if you're a publisher staring at impossible deadlines and a shrinking pool of assistants, can you really afford to ignore that? No way.
But listen, it's not all about just typing a prompt and getting a whole comic back. A lot of the real impact of AI is happening kind of behind the scenes, right inside the software that artists are already using every day. You have tools now that can take a super rough sketch and turn it into a beautifully detailed background. In Clip Studio, there's a shading assist feature that automatically adds shadows with a single click. And AI-powered translation tools are making it possible to release chapters worldwide almost instantly. This is what you could call the invisible AI, and it's already a part of the workflow.
Okay, so this is where the story really splits into two different timelines. You have the same technology landing in the two biggest comics industries on the planet, and they are reacting in completely opposite ways. What we're seeing is a fascinating clash between Japan's legal approach and Korea's cultural one. Over in Japan, the law is frankly wide open for AI. There's a specific part of their copyright law, Article 34, that basically gives a green light for AI companies to train their models on, well, pretty much anything they can find online without getting permission. The idea is to supercharge tech development. But for artists, it feels like the law is letting anyone legally clone their unique style, their artistic DNA, and feed it into a machine.
Meanwhile, in South Korea, it's a completely different story. A popular webtoon got accused of using AI art, and the fans revolted. We're talking a massive, organized boycott. The backlash wasn't just some angry comments online. It was so powerful and so widespread that it forced the government's hand. They had to step in and actually create new laws.
And the result is this, the AI Basic Act. It's a world-first kind of regulation. Starting in January 2026, it's going to force transparency. Any content that's made using generative AI has to be clearly labeled as such. And if you don't, you're looking at some hefty fines. This really puts the power back into the reader's hands. They get to see the label and decide for themselves if they want to read and support it.
So where does all this leave us? What's the future of making comics actually going to look like? Well, one thing's for sure, what it means to be an artist in this industry is changing, and it's probably changing for good.
We're probably going to see the rise of what you could call the director mangaka. In this new world, the most important skill might not be how well you can draw, but how strong your creative vision is. A creator might write a script, sketch out some super rough storyboards, and then direct a custom AI model to generate the finished artwork. The job becomes less about the physical act of drawing and more like being a film director, focused on the story, the pacing, the camera angles, and the overall emotional punch.
And this is probably going to split the market right down the middle. On one side, you'll have your artisanal comics. These will be proudly marketed as 100% human-drawn, maybe even selling for a higher price like a crafts product. Then on the other side, you'll have fast comics, AI-assisted, mass-produced content that can keep up with that insane weekly demand, flooding the market with sheer volume.
But here's the big, looming danger in all of this. For all its problems, that assist system was basically the industry's university. It was the training ground where generations of young artists learned how to become pros. Now, if AI automates all those entry-level jobs, the backgrounds, the coloring, the inking, where does that training ground go? It just disappears. So in solving the labor crisis of today, the industry might be accidentally creating a massive talent crisis for tomorrow. I mean, where will the next great artist even come from?
And that really leaves us with the big ultimate question, doesn't it? As these incredible tools get woven deeper into the fabric of creation, will the soul of comics still be found in the artist's hand, with all of its wonderful human imperfections? Or will the future of storytelling be about mastering the art of the prompt, directing an algorithm to dream up our stories for us? The answer is being written as we speak, and it's being written in two very, very different ways.